In a crucial diplomatic push, the United States, France, and several allied nations have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire along the Israel-Lebanon border, seeking to halt escalating hostilities and pave the way for potential negotiations. This appeal comes after intense discussions at the United Nations, where global leaders expressed mounting concern over the rapidly deteriorating situation. The proposed ceasefire would specifically apply to the Israel-Lebanon Blue Line, which is an internationally recognized border between the two nations and is intended to facilitate dialogue and a potential diplomatic resolution to the ongoing conflict. A senior official from the Biden administration emphasized the urgent need for all parties, including Israel and Lebanon, to endorse the ceasefire without delay. The joint statement was supported by a coalition that includes Australia, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and the European Union. As diplomatic efforts unfold, Israel intensified its military actions, launching extensive airstrikes across Lebanon. Reports indicate that at least 72 people have been killed with over 223 wounded, according to Lebanese health officials. The Israeli military chief has indicated that a ground assault is a possibility, raising fears that the conflict could escalate into a wider regional war. US officials have been actively engaging with both Israeli and Lebanese leaders in recent months to mitigate hostilities. The senior Biden administration official remarked that discussions at the United Nations General Assembly, that is the UNGA, highlighted a consensus on the urgency of calling for a ceasefire. President Biden has reportedly prioritized the issue in nearly every conversation with world leaders during the assembly. In the context of these discussions, Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon expressed support for the ceasefire, emphasizing a preference for a diplomatic resolution to the conflict. He underscored the need to dismantle Iranian influence, which he identified as a central threat in the region. In response, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi reiterated support for Hezbollah, signaling that Iran would not remain passive should the situation in Lebanon worsen. Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati responded positively to the ceasefire proposal, noting that its successful implementation would depend on Israel's commitment to international resolutions. When asked about the likelihood of reaching a ceasefire soon, Mikati expressed hope, stating, "Hopefully, yes." As the conflict escalates, humanitarian concerns have surged. The Lebanese foreign minister estimated that as many as 500,000 people have been displaced due to the violence, and many of those fleeing their homes are taking refuge in schools and other facilities as hospitals fill with the wounded from the relentless airstrikes. Israeli military operations have been focused on targeting Hezbollah leaders and infrastructures, with reports indicating that hundreds of sites across Lebanon have been struck. In response, Hezbollah has launched a retaliatory rocket fire into Israeli territory. This cycle of violence has left communities on both sides deeply affected and raised alarm among global leaders regarding the potential for a broader regional conflict. In an address, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Hezbollah was being targeted more aggressively than it had anticipated, reinforcing Israel's commitment to securing its northern border. The Israeli government has also begun mobilizing additional reserve brigades for potential operations along the northern border. As the violence continues to escalate, the pressure on the Biden administration intensifies. The US has been working for nearly a year to broker a ceasefire in Gaza, and increasing hostilities in Lebanon complicate these efforts. The administration faces growing calls from various stakeholders to take decisive action to stabilize the situation.